need to check the whether oil is available or not. If it is available, then you have to put on the pan. Otherwise, you have to arrange it from the market, and then all the steps are written depending on the availability of the goods. Okay, you will take your decision. Okay. So
Sir,
now,
sir, some students want to join. Please check
okay,
Google
okay.
Classroom.
Just
One
a
minute.
minute. Okay. 42 students joined. 43. Okay. So visible? Slide is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now the basically I will today I will discuss what algorithm is, why algorithm is necessary, uh, and what is the time complexity, why time complexity analysis is necessary, why algorithm analysis is necessary for this course. Okay. And what are the various other analysis aspect of the algorithm. So basically algorithm is a step-by-step procedure, unambiguous instruction to solve a given problem. Algorithm is a finite number of step-by-step unambiguous instruction to solve a given problem. Okay. So what is a problem? A problem is something for which we seek the answer. Okay. A problem is something for which we seek the answer. For example, sorting. You want to perform sorting for a list of numbers. So sorting is a problem. Okay, sorting is a problem. You want to check whether a particular element is present in a list or not. Okay, that is one problem. You want to calculate the factorial of the one number. That is one problem. You want to calculate the Fibonacci number. Okay, so that is one problem. In this way, there are many problems. Okay, many problems, and for each problem, algorithm may exist or may not exist. Okay, some for one problem, more than one solution or algorithm available. Few algorithm are good, few are excellent, few are not good. Okay, so this is the things. Now, what is the instance of a problem? Instance of a problem means the assignment of the parameter, assignment the assignment of the parameter, okay, is called the instance of the problem. For example, if x square plus 2x plus 3 equal to 0, if this is your equation, okay, you want to evaluate this equation, okay, depending on the value of x and y. Suppose x equal to 3 and y equal to 4, then what will be the value of this expression? Okay, then x equal to 3 or y equal to 4 is the instance. Okay, for example, for the sorting, okay, sorting is a problem and you have a list of n numbers. N means suppose you have a list of 5 numbers. So value of n, total number of element is 5 here, and all the element is any 5 numbers, okay. So this any 5 numbers, okay, or value of the n equal to 5, that is the instance of the sorting problem. Clear? Okay, now here the formal definition of the algorithm. Algorithm, this word come from the Latin word algorithmy. Okay, is an effective method for express as a finite list of well-defined instruction for calculating a function. Okay, so in computer science, algorithm had some characteristics. For a set of statement, statement cannot be algorithm without that properties. Okay, so here what is now program? Program is the implementation of the algorithm. What is the data structure? Data structure is the organization of the data to solve the problem. Organization of the data and relationship with the other data. That is the organization of the data. Okay, that is the data structure.
Sir, some
Sir,
students
someone
are
wants
trying
to
to enter
join.
in the meeting, sir.
Okay.
Someone wants to join.
Now some real life example of the algorithm. If you want to search a book, okay, you can follow some steps or some procedure. That's mean you for searching a book, there is an algorithm. For arranging books on based on the titles, there is an algorithm. Using the recipe to cook something new, that may follow an algorithm. When you are packing a list of items in a suitcase, okay, you can follow some steps to pack the list of items. You can follow one algorithm. Okay, so scheduling daily activities, you can write one algorithm. As per that algorithm, you can schedule activities. Okay, finding the shortest path from one node to another node in a graph, or from your home to your friend homes, that can follow one algorithm. Sending for a document on the internet, or preparing CD to write the personal data, everything you can write in term of the algorithm. These all are the problem in this slide. There are 9 steps, 9 problem are written here. For solving each problem, you can write one algorithm. Okay, now the characteristics of the algorithm, this is very important. Okay, not all the steps are you can loosely call the algorithm. Algorithm should have some definite properties. Okay, an algorithm should maintain this properties written here in this slide. Characteristics of the algorithm: every algorithm can have a 0 number of input or more than one input. Okay, algorithm may take your input or may not take the input, more than one input, but algorithm must produce at least one output. Clear? Now, definiteness is another property which says that every step should be very well defined and unambiguous without any confusion. For example, your algorithm should not consider the division by 0 or calculating the square root of the negative number. Okay, because it is not possible. Your algorithm should not contain this kind of statement. Okay, so every statement should be very well defined. Okay, very well defined and very unambiguous, very clear, very precise. Okay, uniqueness is a property. It says that algorithm is a ordered set of procedure. Ordered procedure or ordered procedure means your algorithm has a step number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you cannot change whimsically the order of the statement. Okay, order of the statement. If you change the order of the statement, you will get the erroneous result. Okay, response please.
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
If you change the order, you may get the erroneous result. So that is the uniqueness. Algorithm steps should be well defined and ordered procedure. If you change the order, you may get the error result. Correctness is another property. Correctness says that your algorithm should be in such a way that steps of the algorithm should in such a way that for every valid input, your algorithm will produce the correct result. Okay, theoretically, for every valid input, not your algorithm should not be on the basis of some instances only. Only your algorithm should not work on a list of 5 numbers. Okay, if you write one algorithm to solve the sorting problem, your program should be, or your algorithm should be such a flexible that it can sort the any length of list of numbers. Okay, so or any combination, for example, by pen and pencil, you are evaluating the value of one expression. You are finding that value of this expression for x equal to 3 and y equal to 4 equal to 5, but your algorithm steps, after performing the steps of the algorithm, if it is different things, then that is the erroneous result. That's mean your algorithm should produce the correct result for every valid input. Okay, that is the correctness. Okay, effectiveness of the algorithm is another property. Your algorithm should be, which implies that it should be traceable manually. Okay, by looking at the algorithm or by reading at the algorithm, you should be able to visualize or comprehend the underlying steps one after another. Okay, if you do not understand any steps in underlying steps, or connection of one step, a result produced by one steps and fed to another steps, next step. If you do not understand this kind of thing, so that algorithm is not called the effective algorithm. Okay, so your algorithm should be effective. That's mean
Sir,
it
someone
should
wants
be,
to join the meeting, sir.
yeah. Okay. Now your algorithm should be very effective. Okay, finiteness means your algorithm should not contain the infinite number of statements. Okay, it should contain the finite number of statements, and it should be completed within finite amount of time. After some finite amount of time, it should halt. Okay, it should pause, or it should stop. Otherwise, that set of statements should not be called the algorithm. So that is the finiteness. Another some additional property of the algorithm is the simplicity. Your algorithm should be very simple so that any novice user by looking at it can easily understand. Or generality means your algorithm should be machine independent. Your algorithm should be operating system independent. Your algorithm should be programming language independent. Okay, if you know the C programming language, okay, if another person know the C++, another person know the Python, that is not the issue. Your algorithm should be the programming language or machine independent. Okay, in the earlier days, you had different configuration machine. Nowadays, you have very high configuration of machines, but algorithm irrespective of the machine should be the same for all the machines, for all the configuration. Okay, so there is a generality. Now, algorithmic problem. What is algorithmic problem? A problem for which you can develop one algorithm, that is called the algorithmic problem. Okay, it needs the input specification, and algorithm, after feeding to the input specification, you will get some output as a function of the input. Okay, algorithmic solution of a problem means, for algorithmic problem you have algorithmic solution, and that means you have algorithm. Here, sorting is an algorithmic problem. Okay, algorithm, some list of element here, a1, a2, a3, an are given. Its result will be the permutation of the a1, a2, one permutation, and your sorting algorithm will find that permutation. Okay, now runtime of the sorting algorithm depends on the number of elements in the list that you want to sort, and how the list of elements are partially sorted. If you will find, or you will listen, that if list is partially sorted, if list is completely sorted before the sorting, then time complexity will vary. Okay, if list is very haphazardly, number is there random fashion, if number is random fashion, or number is already decreasing order or increasing order, on that if you apply the sorting algorithm, the time complexity or runtime may vary. Okay, or the algorithm. Actually, runtime of the sorting problem depends on three things: number of elements, which is expressed by the n, how partially the sorted they are, and the algorithm, which algorithm are you using. Yesterday, what I told you the when you want to solve a problem. Is someone waiting to join? Yeah. Yesterday, I told you the selection of the algorithm and selection of the data structure is very important. Okay, for solving any problem. Today, I am elaborating these two things. Okay, the stage of problem solving here. First, you have to, when you want to solve a problem, what should be the steps? First, you have to understand the problem. Okay, in details. Okay, you have to understand the problem in details. This is very generic statement. Okay, that's mean you have to find out what are the various parameter involved here, which parameter you need as an input, which parameter as a need as an output, what are the intermediate parameters, intermediate value, intermediate result. Okay, you have to find out all these things. Okay, you have to understand the specification of the problem very delicately. Okay, so understanding of the problem is very important stage before solving any problem. Second, after understanding the problem, now you can comprehend, you can think, or you can plan for an algorithm. After thinking about how, after knowing what are the various parameter involved, input parameter, output parameter, intermediate result keeping parameter. Okay, after understanding all this and after thinking how you will put all these things together so that you can write one valid few valid steps for the solving this problem, that's when you are planning for the algorithm. Then you are designing the algorithm, and that's when you are writing the algorithm. After writing that algorithm, now next thing you have to validate or verify the algorithm. Validate and validation means you have to clearly understand that for every valid input set, your algorithm should generate the correct result. And how you will, it is not possible manually checking for every valid input. Suppose you have a 10 numbers and permutation 10, factorial 10, you cannot check for all manually, but you should develop some mathematical expression or mathematics. You have to develop some mathematical equation or something mathematically you may need to prove that this algorithm will generate the correct result for all valid input of length of this. Okay, so validating and verification is necessary as much as possible. Sometimes it is not possible. Sometimes by looking at the steps of the algorithm, sometimes it is not possible to say 100% correctly that algorithm will generate the correct result for every valid input. Okay, but as much as possible, you have to convince yourself, you have to convince other who are the reader of the algorithm, that algorithm is valid for all set of inputs. Okay, after that you will analyze the algorithm. Analysis means very general term. You have to analyze its time complexity or its space complexity. Okay, now there are various aspects of time complexity and space complexity. So time complexity means the amount of time required by that algorithm. Now amount of time, not your clock time, not your watch time. Okay, amount of time now is not that. Okay, amount of time actually denote different things. I will analyze that in details later. Okay, now another analysis is the space requirement of that algorithm. After what this analysis is required, because for one problem many algorithm may exist, you have to say which one is better than other. To know that, you need to analyze the algorithm. After analyzing that algorithm, now your implementation of the algorithm comes. It is very easy. When you develop an algorithm, now it is very easy. A class 11 student, class 12 student can easily write down the code by following the statements of the algorithm. Okay, so implementation come later. After some analysis is done, or some analysis is conducted after the development of the algorithm. So performing empirical analysis, that is called the empirical analysis. Now post implementation analysis. Okay, how much manpower was needed, how much difficult it was for the programmer. Okay, how much memory was needed, how much software module was interacted with each other. There is some kind of development environment, development with respect to some development framework. This kind of post implementation analysis was required. That is called the empirical analysis of the algorithm. Okay, so this is the stages of the problem solving. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any question? If you have any question, feel free to ask me. You can interrupt me. Okay, now,
Sir, if possible, can you change your phone to landscape mode?
Landscape. Now this orientation is okay. Now is this orientation okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Now, remember one thing, not only for today's class, when you read the algorithm subject in the next semester, every time when you will go for the analysis of the algorithm, what is important thing, important consideration should come in your mind is that the one abstract model that will be in your mind. Okay, with respect to that abstract model, you will analyze your algorithm. Okay, that abstract model does not exist in reality. Okay, actually you will just imagine with respect to that abstract model, you will analyze your algorithm. Okay, that abstract model is called the RAM, random access machine. Okay, or Turing machine. Okay, this is Turing machine. Probably you will when you will read the formal language and automata theory, you will learn about it. Okay, this is the abstract machine model, and from it, computer follow this model to change its states. Okay. So actually, this model you cannot touch it. This is an abstract model. This abstract model says that it has one computational element which is similar to CPU. Okay, it has one model or entity that is corresponding to the memory. Okay, but it has some place where you can store something for the computation, and you have it had some computational element, and that computational element that means here, if you compare it with the CPU, some perform.
Sir, hello. Sir, only
Hello.
half part of the screen is visible. Only half part is visible.
Now,
Now it's
now
very small.
Now the size is small.
Rotate the screen like earlier. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
it's okay now.
It's fine, sir.
now this your abstract model here, RAM. It is RAM. It may be Turing machine or any other state machine, finite state machine model that has some state and transition function from one state to another state, and it after performing some basic operation. So primitive operation are executed in constant time, and memory cell can be accessed with one primitive operation. So what is very important thing to remember here, important thing, don't worry about this abstract machine model. Here only it is to say you that when you will analyze an algorithm, you should keep in your mind that there is one abstract model behind it. With respect to that model, you will analyze your algorithm. Okay, that model does not really exist, but it has. Okay. Now data organization, as already I told you, data structure and the way of its relationship is stored here. Here in a queue, in a petrol pump, tracker in a queue. Okay. For example, I want to give you one example here. Suppose if you go to the bank counter or any other counter, okay, if the counter representative, if the counter representative give the service to the customer in such a way that total number of service time is minimum, then what will be the algorithm? Can you understand my question? Are you understanding my question? Suppose there is a five men, okay, they are in a queue, okay, for getting service from the one counter representative in a bank. Okay, now how the bank counter representative will give the service to the every man in the queue so that the total time is minimum. Okay,
First come, first serve basis.
not first come first serve is not actually answer. Here obviously that is one point. First come first serve is one way. Okay, first come first serve is one way, but to minimize the total time, there is a proof mathematically. You will job scheduling, when you read the operating system subject in the next semester, you will find that the customer who has the less service time, if the counter representative gives service that man first, and next who need the less service time, actually you have to arrange a customer according to their service time in increasing order. Okay, and the customer
Sir, only half of the screen is visible, sir.
Only this portion, only see the car. I am not saying anything with respect to screen now. I'm just explaining. Okay, so this is the actual algorithm actually. Okay, if you give the service in such a way that the customer who need the less amount of time, and then next customer who need the less amount of time, in this way if you give the service, then total time will be minimum for the customer representative, customer service representative. Okay, so this is actually algorithm. And obviously what one student tell that we should give the service first come first service. Obviously, this is one way, but it may not minimize the total time taken by the customer care representative. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. If you add the if you service with respect to the total service time, then it will be minimum. That is one aspect. And another aspect, first come first serve. This is another aspect. Okay, what you need, depending on the, you can design your algorithm. Now algorithm design aspect. Now coming to the algorithm design aspect. So when you read the algorithm books, you will find many design strategy paradigm. One design paradigm is called the divide conquer paradigm or divide conquer strategy of solving a problem. Another is dynamic programming. Another is greedy. Another is backtracking. Another is branch bound. Now divide conquer. Not all problem comply with every design technique. Some problem can be solved with a particular design technique. You cannot apply another design technique, all design technique to a particular problem. Okay. So some problem is suitable for some design technique. Some problem is not suitable for some design technique. That is the point. So divide conquer strategy is say that you have some problem. For there exist many problem in the world. You will find some problem where if you find the situation in this way that you can divide your problem into sub problem, then sub problem again to sub problem, then sub problem. In this way you can divide the problem into sub problem into sub problem into sub problem. And when you in this way dividing, and you will reach to some extent where you will not be able to divide further. And that at that point you will apply the solution there. Okay, solution there. You will solve that small sub problem, and you will concatenate, or you will arrange, or you will accumulate the result of the smaller sub problem. And from the smaller sub problem to result of the big, you will get the result of the bigger sub problem, then more bigger sub problem, then more bigger sub problem. Okay, so this is the called the divide conquer way of solving the problem. So you will find.
Is this similar? Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, is this similar to recursion? What we do in functions?
Obviously, you are right. You are right. It is actually divide conquer is implemented with recursion. Divide conquer recursion is a characteristics or feature of the programming language. When to divide conquer is one paradigm or a strategy. Breaking a problem into sub problem. Breaking a problem into sub problem, then solve the sub problem. Now this thing is practically achieved by the recursive nature of the programming language. Okay, recursive nature of the programming language. For example, if you want to talk about the quick sort or merge sort, okay, list of elements will be subdivided first. For the merge sort, you have to subdivide until you reach to the list of 2 elements or 1 element. Then you will merge. Then merge of larger set, then merge of larger set, then merge of larger. For case of quick sort algorithm, you have to choose one element as a pivot element. Okay, and there are some steps, some kind of computation with respect to pivot element. Okay, so after one iteration, pivot element will get its final position, and with respect to its final position, list will be divided into 2 halves. Okay, then when list will be divided 2 halves, then to sub list you have to select new 2 pivot element. Then after one iteration, you will get the final position of the new 2 pivot element. With respect to the new 2 pivot element, these 2 sub list again will be divided into 4 sub list. Okay, so this is the recursive actually. Recursion. Now dynamic programming is a kind of essential recursion. Dynamic programming is called the essential recursion. It is also recursive procedure, but essential. Every time you need not to apply the recursive procedure blindly. Okay, because recursion is a very easy procedure for the programmer. Recursion is easy for the programmer, but recursion is a burden for the computer. Okay, because recursion involves a stack. Okay, if you call a function, and from this function you call it recursively, we call it recursively, a function calling itself, function calling itself, function calling itself, function calling itself. So when a function, one function from one level calling lower level function, then when the called function will return to the calling function, that return address, okay, return parameter, all should be maintained in the memory with respect to some stack data structure. Stack data structure or activation record, all these kind of things is very much required to implement the recursion. So recursion is easy to understand for the programmer. Recursion is not good for the machine. Okay, so for this reason, dynamic programming comes here. Dynamic programming is saying that apply the recursion essentially, not always blindly perform the recursion. If, for example, suppose you want to compute the value of factorial 5, okay, factorial, you want to calculate the Fibonacci number f5. Okay, so to calculate the Fibonacci number f5, what you need? You need the Fibonacci number f3, f4. You need to know the Fibonacci f5 that is derived by the Fibonacci f3, f4. Now f4 is obtained by f2 and f3. Now if you draw a tree, f5 2 branch, f4, f3, you will see in the next slide. Okay, you will see in the next slide. Actually, you will find some terms are repetitive. Some terms are repetitive. The repetitive term need not to, you should not calculate that repetitive term. Okay, so dynamic programming is that. Dynamic programming apply the recursion to solve a problem. It divide a problem into sub problem, but it blindly do not solve every sub problem. It cleverly store the result of the sub problem. If the sub problem is already calculated or solved, sub problem is already solved, it only skip the solution, skip the solving the sub problem. So that is the dynamic programming. And obviously, dynamic programming is a bottom-up approach. Okay, bottom-up approach. Yeah.
Sir, DP is only possible when we have more than one recursive call in a program. So, because then only binary tree means the formation is possible. Then what about the questions we have only one recursive call? Can we use DP in those questions?
No, I am not understanding you. It is possible to call.
We can use dynamic programming in the programs where we have two recursive calls. Like, sir, in case of Fibonacci series, it's fib n-1 plus fib n-2. That recursive call thing. So we can use DP in that. But what about the questions in which we use only one recursive call, like factorial of a number or any other program? So can we use DP in those programs where we use only one recursive call?
And it is actually one. It is not about one recursive call, two recursive call. Recursion is involved here. That is the important part here. Okay, you can actually there are many ways. One recursive call is converted to two recursive call, or recursive call function is converted to the tail recursive format. That is the implementation thing. Okay, that is the implementation thing. Whether I am giving you the correct answer or not. Okay, you are saying that dynamic programming or Fibonacci number calculation hold Fn involve the Fn-1, Fn-2. Okay. Fn-1 and Fn-2 calculation is required. Is it possible to call one recursive call? You are asking that.
Yes, sir. So my question is that we know that in case of Fibonacci series, we can use dynamic programming because in that we have many sub-problems. So we can calculate those sub-problems and store it in any data structure. So that is DP, sir. So can we use this in factorial? Because there we have only one recursive call. So is it possible to use dynamic programming in such problems?
Factorial problem. It is possible to calculate the factorial problem. Dynamic programming application is possible or not. Factorial actually, in factorial, do you find, is there any repetitive term for the calculating the factorial 5 to know the value of the factorial 5? Okay, you need to know the value of factorial 4, then factorial 3. Actually,
Yes, sir.
it is possible to arrange the sub-problem in a tree-like structure where you will find the repetitive term. I think it is not possible. You will not find any repetitive term for calculating the factorial. So dynamic programming
sir.
need not to apply there. Dynamic programming
sir.
need not to apply there. You will just
Okay, sir.
after a couple of slide, you will find that factorial Fibonacci series computation can be arranged in a tree-like structure where you will find the many repetitive node. And
Note. Yes, sir.
in repetition, you need not to calculate further the same term. So that
Yes,
is
sir.
why dynamic programming maintain one table. But in case of factorial, is there any repetitive term? I think no.
No, sir.
Okay. So in that case,
Okay.
you need not to apply the. Okay. Now another strategy is that you will actually, when you will find the read the algorithm subject, then you will read in details. Today only for the sake of the implementation, for the only sake of understanding the algorithmic aspect of the data structure codes, I am just analyzing it. What is that? What is this? I am just saying it. You need not to know more about it right now. Okay. Now another method is the greedy method, algorithm design method. Greedy method. There is a caption or slogan for the greedy method: accept the best, leave the rest. Okay. Greedy method actually see some option currently in hand, and it choose the best option which currently available. It without thinking the future consequence. Okay, without thinking the future consequence, there in your life or in the real world, you may face many problems where you need to choose from a set of options. Suppose you have a 5 option, now you are asked to choose some option. This kind of problem exists in your real life. Now greedy method is here to solve this kind of problem. Now greedy method apply some kind of heuristic choose the best option among the available option without thinking the future consequence. If greedy method never think, if at time t1 it choose the option 1, then at time 2 it will choose the option another option. Greedy method does not think in that way. Greedy method only choose the best option from the currently available option without thinking about the future consequence. Okay, so this is the some problem, and greedy method is here to solve that problem. Now backtracking is another kind of problem. Okay, here again you have to perform some kind of you have a many options and you have to perform some sequence of options, okay, one by one, so that you can optimize one your particular one requirement or function. Backtracking means, suppose for example n queen problem. There is a n queen problem you will learn in your algorithm course. N queen problem. Suppose there is a chessboard, and chessboard has n number of row, n number of column. Now you have a n queen. Okay, n queen, and the constraint or condition is that how you will place all the n queen in n in n position in the chessboard, so that no two queen attack each other. That means no two queen will be in the same row, in the same diagonal, same row, same column, or same diagonal. You have to place all the queen in such a way that no two queen attack each other. Okay, no two queen attack each other. This is one constraint. So what will be your strategy to solve this? If there are n queen, so how many arrangement are possible? How many arrangement? N to the power n. N to the power n. All this arrangement you have to check with respect to n queen. Okay, this is very, very, very big search space. You cannot simply bear with this kind of amount of search space. So backtracking algorithm is here. Backtracking algorithm will help you to cleverly reach to your solution by skipping many proposed configuration of the solution. Okay, you will learn in details when you will read the backtracking algorithm. Branch bound is a variation of the backtracking, but it explores search space in different way. Okay, in backtracking, search space is navigated in a depth of the tree. Okay, actually your suppose search space. What is the search space? What is the search space in a n queen problem? N queen problem, there is a n number of row, n number of column. Okay, now n number over n number of column, initial configuration, number of configuration, n to the power n. Okay, if you apply some constraint, it will be factorial n. Okay, if you apply more another constraint, then it will reduce. So branch bound method, now all this configuration in the backtracking, okay, you can arrange in a tree like structure. Tree, okay, one tree there, one starting configuration is this. If you put one queen in a particular position, hello, response please.
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Yes, sir.
If you put one
Yes,
queen in a
sir.
particular position, you will get one configuration. Then assuming this first configuration and first queen, you are now going to place the second queen, you are achieving to the second configuration, then third configuration. In this way you can arrange the everything, every search space, your whole search space in a tree like structure. And when this tree like structure, you explore that tree like structure in a depth order fashion, that is associated with the backtracking method. And branch bound method, when you explore the tree like structure level wise of the tree, that is the branch bound method. And with this, obviously branch and bound means here you are exploring the tree or search space plus some condition you are imposing, so that growing of the tree you can cut off, you can kill the grow of the tree by imposing some constraint or some condition. This node should grow, from this configuration should we derive another configuration or not. Okay, when you apply some condition in a particular node of the tree, you will not accept the next configuration starting from one particular configuration, because you are imposing some condition there. Okay, so branch and bound is that. You will learn in details when you learn the data structure algorithm subjects. So actually, basically, you need not to get stressed too much about this design technique. Only you should know there are few algorithm design technique. One is called the divide conquer, another is called the dynamic programming, another called is greedy method, backtracking, and branch bound. Okay, only you must know this. Now another aspect of the algorithm, this is the algorithm design technique. Another aspect is the algorithm specification. Okay, algorithm specification is very much essential, because when you thinking, when you solving a problem as per the third step, after the planning of the algorithm, you have to design an algorithm. Now design an algorithm, you have to write down that algorithm. Now your writing down the algorithm is very crucial step. Okay, suppose I am asking you write the algorithm to sort the n elements, and some of the student may write the English like language statement. Okay, step 1 some English sentence, step 2 another English sentence, step 3 another English sentence. Okay, that English sentence is itself is a very abstract kind of things, because choice of words of one student may not be understood by other student. Okay, so choosing word is always is confusing. Okay, so English directly expressing algorithm in English like language is not recommended. Okay, so another thing is that another extreme thing is that you cannot write an algorithm with respect to your C programming language or Python programming language or any other programming language, because one person may know one programming language, other person may not know that programming language. So you have to adopt, you have to apply one particular mechanism, so that everyone understand that this is one steps need to perform. Okay, so algorithm should be written in such a way that it should not directly follow the English like sentence statement, it should not follow the programming language like a statement, it should follow in between two. Every statement should be very unambiguous and clear. A statement should involve some parameter, some assignment of the parameter. if possible, or if there is some kind of if else statement, if this condition then this or else this, or if there are some repetition or iteration, try to write some looping kind of things, okay, without writing in a English like lessons, repeat this in a you cannot write a paragraph for a particular statement in the place of loop. In the place of loop, to express a loop, you cannot write the English like sentence there. Okay, so you will see few example of writing an algorithm. So pseudocode is that to express the algorithm. Okay, now validation verification, already I explained it. Now analysis of the algorithm, already I told you why analysis of algorithm is necessary. Algorithm analysis, algorithm with the similar functionality may differ in efficiency. Efficiency means efficiency, runtime efficiency, or space used by the algorithm. Now efficiency of the algorithm can be measured as a function of the input size. Now very critical part of the algorithm and applicable for the data structure code is efficiency analysis of the algorithm. When you will analyze the analyze an algorithm, you will analyze it with respect to a function, which that function is derived with the input size of the problem. Okay, is it clear to you? When you suppose you have written one algorithm, okay, step number one, after writing that algorithm, you are going to calculate the efficiency of the algorithm. Okay, these are second steps. When you are going to calculate the efficiency of the algorithm, you have to express the efficiency of the algorithm in term a function where the parameter of that function is the input size. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear to you? You have one algorithm in front of your eyes. Okay, now after looking at the various steps of the algorithm, you have to write something on the paper. You have to write some function on the paper, and that function has the parameter which is related to the input size of that algorithm. Okay, now you can ask me, what is the input size mean, sir? This is very difficult question to answer. Actually, you should understand very clearly what is the precise meaning of the input size. Input size is not same for all the problem. For example, when you're going to sort n number of elements, I am asking you, what is the input size? What is the input size?
N.
Okay. Now, how you express that input size? You are writing one sorting algorithm. Your sorting algorithm, one parameter is passed array. You are passing the key type array or int array or number of element, comma n. N is the input size. When you are writing one function, which check the particular number is prime or not. Particular function is a particular number is prime or not. Okay, you are passing n. N is that parameter. Now,
Sir, screen is not visible, sir.
Now, n is not now visible.
No, sir.
Not partially visible.
Partially visible. Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
Now, when you are going to calculate the prime numbers, whether a number checking, you are going to check whether a number is prime or not. Okay, you have written one algorithm. Okay, you are passing n. Then what will be the input size?
1.
Huh? No, this is not actually correct. You have passed the n. You have n equal to 5. You are going to check the n is the input size, but 1 is not correct actually. There is a definition of input size actually. Okay. I will analyze that. So why analysis of the algorithm is necessary? I already told you. Okay. Time and space complexity, I told you. Time complexity means the execution time, not the compile time. Okay. Not time time means execution time, not the compile time. Our execution time have some inner meaning, not the clock cycle of the CPU. Execution time, not the your hand clock time. Okay, so what is then the execution time? Execution time is expressed by a function, and that function says you the execution time, how many times or how many numbers are basic operation in that algorithm, and that is expressed or calculated or computed with respect to the input size of the algorithm. Are you getting my statement? Not. Suppose you have an algorithm, okay? Now in that algorithm, to find the efficiency of the algorithm or execution time of that algorithm, what you need to do, you have to find out the basic operation. Basic operation means, suppose take the example of the sorting problem. In the sorting problem, the basic operation is what are the operation that is prevalent, that occur frequently, that occur maximum time. That is the basic operation. In the sorting problem, comparison is a operation which occur frequently, irrespective of the sorting algorithm. For sorting algorithm, comparison, one number is compared with each other, so comparison operation is the basic operation. Okay, another basic operation for the sorting is the assignment. When you find the wrong comparison, a less than b or a greater than b, if you find a condition is not matching a less than b, then you perform the swap operation. A swap operation involves three assignment: a equal to b, b equal to three. How you swap the two value? A এর ভ্যালু b তে গেল, ঠিক আছে, a এর ভ্যালু 10 পে গেল, ঠিক আছে, b এতে 10 পেল, and আর কি হলো, b এতে a এলো, ঠিক আছে। 3 steps swapping operation, temp, a and b. Using these 3, you swap the value of 2, a and b, if the condition does not satisfy. So what I am trying to say here is that the basic operation here is assignment and comparison operation. Now, after writing one algorithm, after finding the basic operation, you know the algorithm, you know the basic operation. Now, next task is to how you will count the time complexity. Now, how many times that basic operation is performed with respect to the input size. If you somehow manage to calculate that, then you are done. Mane time complexity calculation is done. Are you getting my point? Now,
Sir, can you give an example?
Can you give an example? For example, sorting, what I told you, comparison, and what I told you, assignment and comparison. Now, in a sorting, there is a for loop. One of your fellow student is saying the input size is n, mane n number of element is here. Okay, n number of elements in your sorting, you want to going to sort the n number. So you will see that the for loop inner, how many times inner for loop will iterate, how many times the outer for loop will iterate. So the total number of iteration of inner for loop and outer for loop will help you to calculate the total number of basic operation execution. আরে ইনার ফর লুপের মধ্যেই তো তোমার সোয়াপ অপারেশন আছে। তো ইনার ফর লুপের মধ্যে ওই বেসিক অপারেশন, মানে একবার ইনার ফর লুপ হলে 3টে অ্যাসাইনমেন্ট হয়, তাহলে n বার হলে কতবার হবে? ঠিক আছে। ইন দিস ওয়ে এবার আউটার ফর লুপের জন্য কত হবে? ইন দিস ওয়ে if you somehow manage, somehow if you understand, or somehow you can express the total number of basic operation in any algorithm, whatever algorithm you written, if you are able to manage to compute the total number of basic operation, if you able to manage, if you want to count that, then your complexity analysis is done. Okay. So counting the basic operation is vital. So here in this slide, one slide probably you are seeing that how to compare algorithm. One is execution time, another is number of statement executed, that I am just explaining to you. Okay, actually your analysis, algorithm analysis, computer scientist is saying that this is not also enough. This is also not enough. What I am saying right now, I am saying you right now, when you are going to analyze your algorithm, analysis of what? You are analyzing the time of the algorithm, time requirement. I'm telling you, time is not your clock time. Time is not CPU clock time. So time means what then? I'm telling you that time means the total number of basic operation executed with respect to input size. Okay?
Yes, sir.
I'm telling that. Now, computer scientist says that this kind of consideration is not enough, because at the outset I told you, when you analyze one algorithm, one thing you should keep in your mind, your analysis should be machine independent, programming language independent, operating system independent. Okay. Now the basic operation that I just told you, if you write one algorithm, suppose after writing that algorithm, you have just translated your algorithm in a C programming language. Okay. Now, in your eyes, in a C programming language, you are seeing that for one, sorry, for one assignment, there are three, for one swapping, one assignment, three assignment, for one swapping, three assignment. But when this high level C programming language, a statement converted machine language instruction, because C programming language after the compilation or another programming language, Python or Java, some bytecode is produced or some compiled code is produced, some assembly language code is produced, finally some machine language code is produced. Is this correct? Is this correct?
Yes, sir.
Some RISC architecture is used, some CISC architecture, computer architecture is used. So every computer, with respect to some computer architecture, machine has a different set of valid base statements. Actually, machine has instruction set. With respect to architecture, CISC and RISC architecture, actually, machine hardware, in hardware level, there are some instruction set. Actually, every programming language internally converted to the machine instruction set. Okay, so basic operation actually vary machine to machine, configuration to configuration. What I am trying to say? It is what I am trying to say. It is not possible to exactly count the basic operation, because basic of total number of basic operation, which is one for one machine configuration, it can be differ. It can differ with respect to another machine configuration or another programming language. Okay. So number of statement counting, what I am saying. So execution, when you are going to count the execution time, okay, or when the number of statement count is not enough, so then what? Then what are the way to compute the time complexity? That is, sorry, the way is the asymptotic analysis. Asymptotic analysis. Asymptotic analysis means the approximate analysis. Okay. So asymptotic analysis, of course, actually, asymptotic analysis actually take the trade-off way in between way between execution time and number of statement count. It takes the in between way of these two measure. Okay, for the asymptotic analysis. Asymptotic analysis is a simple thing. Somehow, after writing the algorithm, you have to write the time complexity of the algorithm with respect to the input size. That is not exact, but it has some asymptotic upper bound and lower bound. Suppose, for example, you have you have gone to a shop, to car shop to buy a Mercedes Benz. Okay. Now there you have seen your old friend asking you, "What's up, man?" You are saying, "I'm here to buy one Mercedes," but in your mind you have planned you will buy one bicycle for your daughter or your son. Okay, but you are not saying your friend that you are there for buying the bicycle, because your main budget is the purchasing the Mercedes. Okay, just you are mentioning that you are there to purchase the Mercedes, but you are just not mentioning the purchasing of the bicycle or purchasing of other small few requirement. You are not saying that. Only you are saying the main thing, the Mercedes you want to buy. So you are deliberately suppressing some information. Okay, or some. So asymptotic analysis is that. Asymptotic analysis is that you have to count the total number of basic operation. Approximately, it has some upper bound, it has some lower bound. Upper bound and lower bound, how you will achieve that? When you write one algorithm, you will write one function for the time complexity of that algorithm that will be expressed by the input size of the algorithm. Okay, input size of the algorithm. Here, fn is the input size, and that is equal to something, one function or expression, and that is bounded by upper by another function gn, or that is bounded from lower another function gn, that is the asymptotic lower bound, asymptotic upper bound. Okay, or asymptotic notation, probably you may hear that big O notation of the algorithm analysis. Time complexity big O n square. Time complexity is bounded by n square from the upper. Original time complexity of the algorithm is fn equals to n square plus 2n plus 3. Okay, that is bounded from the upper by another function gn. Okay, you will see the slide. Okay, so what I am trying to say, time complexity analysis is not merely counting the total number of statement execution or execution time counting, because this to count depends on the machine or operating system dependent. So since your algorithm analysis should be independent of the machine, or should be independent of the programming language, should be independent of the operating system, that is why you should resort for one way, so that it should be machine independent, programming language independent, and asymptotic analysis will offer that solution. So that is why when we analyze one algorithm, we derive the asymptotic upper bound, asymptotic lower bound by the notation of big O notation, big sigma notation, big omega notation. Okay. Now, next part, I will explain what is the meaning of the input size is. Input size, actually, when you talk about the input size, total number of bits used to encode the input is called the input size. For example, the sorting, you want to sort the n number of elements. Now, among these n elements, you have to find out which one is the largest element, biggest element. Now, suppose biggest element you have found out which was the biggest element. After finding out the biggest element, now it is possible to count the total number of bits required by the biggest element. Now if there are n number of elements, n into that number of bits, so that amount of bits is required to encode all the n elements in the memory. So that is the precise meaning of the input size. Okay, and for the similar way, if you go for the prime checking, you need to express the total number of bit required to express the number that you are going to check. Okay, but is it possible to reach to the time complexity expression after assuming the input size in this way? No, you need not to express the input size in this way every time, because it will increase the time complex, it will increase the complexity of the calculation. But for the sake of understanding what is the precise meaning of the input size is this. If you assume the input size in this way, you will reach to the same kind of asymptotic analysis without assuming that input size, only just flatly assuming that if n number is used there, so input size is n. If you assume in this way, or if you assume any encoding method, a binary encoding method, a number is binary representation of the n numbers and total number of bits, and in this total number of bits, the total number of assignment with respect to this is this amount with respect to this bit assignment, or total number of comparison is this with respect to this bitwise assignment. Okay, if you in this two way of calculation will lead you to the all same time complexity expression. So that is why what I am trying to say. I am trying to say the precise meaning of the input size is this. Okay, but you need not to consider the input size in that way always, because it increases the complexity of the calculation. Is it clear to you now? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Actually, I will provide you this slide. After that, you will analyze, you will understand everything. Now, just for the sake of confidence, building the confidence, I am going to explain some example. Give you, okay. Here, the importance of the developing, and you are seeing this slide. The importance of developing efficient algorithm. Okay, here sequential search versus binary search. I am going to explain you the sequential search and binary search, which are efficient. Both are searching algorithm. Both are searching algorithm, but which one is better than other, and what searching algorithm we accept and what searching algorithm we should not accept. Okay, here determining the X. Here this is the way. Is it visible? Is this slide visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Here problem is that determining whether X belongs to S. S is the list of elements. Okay. Sorry. S is the list of elements. Here in this S there are few elements, 6 elements. Sorry. There are 6 elements. Now you are going to find whether X means 11. 11 is present in this list or not. It is yes. And how you can say it is yes? Just manually looking at the list. Sorry. If it is list is contain a large number of element, 100 element, 1000 element, 10,000 element, then finding one element is present in the list or not, that is not possible. Okay. For that, you have written one algorithm. Now look at the algorithm. Look at the algorithm. Here, algorithm keyword is here. Sequential search, name of the algorithm. Here procedure SUK search. Procedure means here you can write function SUK search. Here, actually this is not the only one way to writing the algorithm. You can adopt different style of writing. Here this is one way, and this way of writing will clearly say you everything. Here SUK search means sequential search. Here n hoche integer. Okay, total number of element. S is the list. If you
Sir, your voice is not clear, sir.
Now is it clear? Hello. No.
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Now S represent indicate array. Okay, if you code it in the C programming language C++, you can easily convert the S as an array. X is the key type. X means that element you are going to find, and if it is possible to find the location of the element, so var location is another variable declared there. Okay. Now here the steps of the algorithm is written. The step of the algorithm is written. Location is a variable which is initialized to 1. Now one while loop is written. Some kind of iteration is needed. What I am trying to say, do not write the English like statement for expressing your thought. Okay, here one while type of statement is written. Location is less than equal to n, and in that location is value is equal to x, not equal to x. You will find the next location. If you do not find anywhere, the location will be equal to return to 0. Okay, if you find anywhere, then you will get the position of the elements. So this is one way of writing the. This is one example of writing the steps of the algorithm. Now, if you analyze the time complexity of the algorithm, now where is the basic number of here is the basic operation is the comparison operation. Okay, S location not equal to X. This comparison, how many times this comparison happen? Here while loop iterate in number of times. If you do not consider the assignment operation, no problem. Only the comparison operation is enough here. Okay, comparison operation here in number of maximum times the while loop iterate n times. Okay, so time complexity of this algorithm approximately is n. Okay, big O n. Big O n means maximum if n number of elements. If in your list, if there are n number of elements, your total number of searching, you will find the every element one by one. So maximum n number of comparison may happen. Never more than n number of comparison will not happen because total number of element is n. So big O notation is used here. The same searching. If you are solve the searching problem with the binary search. Now the binary search here logic is here. For the binary search, one prerequisite condition is that your list of elements should be sorted first. Okay, if you sort the before searching, if you sort the list, then binary search work very efficiently. Okay, here the binary search, see the parameters. Every parameters carries the meaning that is convincible, that is very understandable by you. Okay, that is the motto of the writing algorithm. You should write the steps in such a way that it will be understood very easily. Okay, now low var when if you implement it in a C programming language, then var jagate in the place of var you can write here int low high mid index. Okay, now begin you can write here for loop. And while low equal to 1, high n, and while you are checking the middle location, you are calculating the middle location. You are checking whether in the middle of the array the element is present or not. If it is a less than of the middle element, so you are finding in the left half. If it is a greater than of the middle element, you are finding the right half. So in this way, you are finding the elements. Now, what will be the time complexity of that? If, for example, your list is contain the 32 elements, so your first searching will be at the with element at position at the 16th location. Element which is located at the 16th, you are first comparison with that. Second comparison, for example, if it is one half, if it is a element is greater than the 16th element, 16th element at position at 16th, and greater than that, your next comparison will be with the element present at the 24th location. In this way, how many comparison is necessary? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 comparison is necessary. Okay, so how this 6 comparison? Here total number of element is 32. The total number of comparison here will be log n plus 1 or approximately log 1. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Log n plus 1. So here, now see the diagram here. See the one table here. One table here. Here, n equals to, if your list contain 128 elements, then for sequential search, maximum number of comparison 1 to 8. If your list contain 1024 number of elements, for sequential search 1024, but for the binary search 8 and 11 number of searching is required. So if you look at this table, is this table visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
You can find the clear distinction between the total number of maximum number of comparisons. So you can find here how much efficient binary search is. Binary search is very important, very efficient. Okay, very less number of comparison is required to find whether element is present in the list or not. Now you can ask me, sir, binary search is so much efficient. So should we avoid the sequential search? My answer is no. You should not avoid the sequential search, because in your life you will find or many algorithm which is not too much efficient. Instead of that, it is tolerable in human lifespan. But some algorithm you will find is so much inefficient that you will not find any solution in your human lifespan. Is it clear to you? Is this statement clear to you?
Yes, sir.
So binary search, although it is inefficient, but 1024 comparison or 1 lakh comparison for today's machine configuration is achievable in a human lifespan. Not few minutes or few hours will be required for today's machine configuration. You can tolerate it. But for many problem, later next Fibonacci series generation problem, you will see it. The time requirement with high configuration machine, you will not get the solution in human lifespan. 1,000 year, many thousand year will be required to get the solution. Okay, and that inefficient algorithm is not required. You should avoid that algorithm. Okay, for many algorithm is inefficient, but algorithm is inefficient when the input size is large. But when input size is smaller, you will not find too much difficulties. Okay. So time complexity, what is the essence of time complexity understanding? Time complexity is saying you that analyze your algorithm in such a way that if you scale up your input size, how your algorithm behave. If you capture this scenario by mathematically, then time complexity analysis is done. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Time complexity understanding or analysis will be achieved when? Time complexity analysis will be achieved by you only then if you can construct, if you can write down the equation or anything, you can express in your own way that if you scale up the input, scale up means if you grow the size of the input, then how your algorithm behave. Behave means how many basic operation is increasing if you change the size of the input from one amount to another amount. Then how basic operation is jumping from one amount to another amount, or another aspect is jumping from one amount to another amount. If you can capture this kind of information, then time complexity analysis will be done. Okay. Now see the next example. See the next example. I request you who asked me the question of Fibonacci and factorial. Here Fibonacci number generation can be represented by this tree-like structure. Sorry. Here F5 obtained by the these two term. Here many term is repeated. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I will analyze its time complexity. Fibonacci number generation. I will analyze this time complexity. Now, can you see the table on the right hand side? Right hand side here, this table say you if n equal to 0, total number of term computed is 1. If n equal to 1, total number of term computed is 1. If n equal to 2, total number of term computed 3. N equal to 3, total number of term computed 5. And all this counting you can verify from this tree. When n equal to 0, f0 need any other term? No. So when n equal to 0, then total number of term computed is 1. N equal to 1, total number of term computed is 1. Now, what is my motto is to find out the total number of term computed. If you are able to compute the total number of term for any fn, here n equal to 5, here n equal to 5, for any n, then your job will be done. Okay. Now, if you now in this table, when n is doubled, n is increased by 2. Mane starting from 2, skipping 0 and 1. Do not consider 0 and 1. N er value is 0 to here 6. N er value starting from 0 to 6 is written here. Now skip the n er value 0 and 1 and consider from 2 to onwards. When n er value 2, value number of term computed 3. When n er value 4, number of term computed 9. So when value of n is increased by 2, number of term computed is more than twice. Is this pattern is prevalent in this table? Just tell me, observe and tell me. Are you agree with me? Are you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
After the 2, skip the value n equal to 0 and 1. Look at starting you're looking at the 2 n equal to 2, 2 n equal to 6. And here one pattern is prevalent. When you increase n by 2, the number of term computed is more than twice. Okay. Okay. Now I will analyze the time complexity of this algorithm. Just in this slide, here theory is written. Time complexity of this algorithm, I am notationally saying t bracket n. This is my notation. Okay. This is my notation. Time complexity of this algorithm, capital T bracket er moddhe n. It is greater than equal to 2 to the power n by 2. Okay. When for n greater than 2, I am claiming that, but I am not. You are not sure. Are you sure? I am not sure. I am just claiming that. Now I will prove it. I will prove it. Okay. Please respond.
Yes, sir.
In the right hand side,
Yes, sir.
what I am saying, Tn greater than equal to 2 into Tn minus 2. Are you agree with this? Because in the previous table, n equal to 2 to 6, you have seen this. If you increase the element in the table, n equal to 7, then what will be the total number of term computed? You have to construct the tree further. You have to grow your tree further. You have to grow your tree further for every value of n. And after knowing all these things,
Understood, sir.
understood. Okay. So now here Tn greater than equal to n by 2 terms. So in compact term, in the theorem we have written T bracket er moddhe n greater than 2 to the power n by 2. Okay. So my time complexity of this algorithm Tn greater than 2n by 2s. Now these right hand side expression is not enough to prove the time complexity of this Fibonacci number generation is Tn equal to greater than 2n to the power 2. For that, we will adopt one proof technique that is called the method of induction. Okay, method of induction to prove whether a particular claim is right or wrong. Okay, first step is induction basis. First induction basis will tell you the base cases. For n equal to 2, n equal to 3, you directly put, suppose you want to prove, your motto, your purpose is to prove Tn greater than 2 to the power n by 2 for n greater than equal to 2. You want to prove it. So base case, when n equal to 2 and n equal to 3, you are just putting the n equal to 2, n equal to 3 in that expression. When n equal to 2, how much term is required, see in the table, and how much term is returned by the expression. When n equal to 2, how much term is computed in the table. From the table, you are looking 3 term is needed. When n equal to 3, how much term are computed from the table, that is 5. And from the expression 2 to the power n by 2, you are finding that. So that is satisfied. That is satisfied. So your base case is true. Now, when your base case is true, one step ahead, next step is called the induction hypothesis. Your hypothesis, you will now claim that my assumption is true for all the m which is greater than 2, less than equal to m, less than equal to n. Induction hypothesis. Is it visible to you?
No, sir.
Induction hypothesis is not visible to you.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Induction hypothesis.
Yes, sir.
Induction hypothesis. First is induction basis for n equal to 2, n equal to 3.
No, sir.
So the induction basis first. Now,
Yes, sir.
induction hypothesis. Are you agree with this induction hypothesis? Induction basis. Are you agree?
Yes, sir.
Sir, induction basis, I will agree.
Agree. Now, hypothesis is your assumption. You are assuming that.
Okay.
You are assuming that your claim is true for all the values of the n which lies in this range. 2 less than equal to m, less than equal to n, less than equal to m, less than n. You are assuming that. Looking at the basis, now you are assuming that. Now, last step is the induction step. If you are able to prove that your hypothesis is also correct for the value of the m which is greater than n or equal to n, then your claim will be true. This is the way of proving using the method of induction. Method of induction, only 3 steps are there. First, you have to consider the base cases. Then you have to assume the method of induction hypothesis. Hypothesis in the hypothesis you will claim, but your claim will be false or correct in the induction step, last step, when value of the n will exceed the value of in the hypothesis. Value of the m in the hypothesis is bounded by this 2 less than equal to m less than n. Value of m is this. Now in the next step, induction step, you will assume the value of m which is equal to n or greater than n. Okay. Now in the induction step, Tn equal to Tn minus 1 plus Tn minus 2 plus 1. This is the expression for the Fibonacci number generation. Tn jagah we have replaced this, and you are getting the 2 to the power n by 2. Okay. You need not to take too much stress for this.
Sir, can we continue tomorrow, sir? I think it's enough for today, sir.
It is enough for today. Just I will finish here. I will finish only 1 or 2 slides. Otherwise,
Okay, sir.
Okay, so here, what is the point? What is the point I want to establish here? I want to establish here, in the previously sequential search and binary search, you have shown the time complexity analysis. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Binary search is efficient. Instead of that, you cannot avoid the sequential search because sequential search is tolerable in human lifespan. But here, in the Fibonacci number generation, in this way of generating Fibonacci number, another algorithm. This is the one Fibonacci number generation. This is the recursive way. Okay. Another Fibonacci
sir.
number generation is the iterative way. Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Iterative way. Now, in this algorithm here, one for loop is only one for loop. So
Yes,
here iteration only. Just see the table. See the table. This is my finishing last slide. This is my last slide. Can you hear this table?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So iterative algorithm. Total number of iteration is in nanosecond.
Yes,
Total
sir.
number of elements.
Yes, sir.
But in the right hand column for the recursive algorithm, in the last, if total number of elements is n equal to 200, so 4 into 10 to the power 13 years, 4 into 10 to the power 13 years will be required to generate the all the Fibonacci number. Hello. So your algorithm will never end. Your machine will hang. Your algorithm will never end. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So is it tolerable in human lifespan?
No.
So recursive solution of Fibonacci number generation is not acceptable when the value of n is large. But when the value of n is small, up to 13 days, 13 days are acceptable. 36 years is not acceptable. When value of n equal to 1120, it is not acceptable. 30 years, 36 years, but 13 days is acceptable. So I want to end here with this statement that you will find many algorithm which is inefficient, but that algorithm is acceptable when value of the n, input size is small. When input size is high or large, you cannot accept algorithm. So now I think you are convinced why algorithm analysis is essential, why algorithm analysis is needed. Now are you convinced all?
Yes, sir.
Are you convinced all? So this is the motto of algorithm analysis. So today with this, I would like to end here. If you have any question, you can write me on the. I will create one course in your Google account, Google Classroom. Yeah, Google Classroom. I will upload study material. And one student asked me for the book. Okay, actually there are many books. Okay, but the books I will provide you the study material. Beside this, this course, as I told you, this is a very practical oriented course. Unless and until you practice the stack, how to implement a stack, array, linked list, tree, then you will not get the proper flavor of this course. You will not be satisfied. How much and how the way I explain to you, you will forget everything until and unless you will practice the code more and more. Okay, so for the programming, Rema Theresa, book written by Rema Theresa. Okay, book written by R.B. Patel. Good book. This is popular among the Indian students. And there are many other books also. Another books, Yasman Kanitkar, data structure T. And most of the books comes with the programming CD. Okay. Most of the books with the CD, you will find there the implementable code there. You can practice that. So I recommend you the Rema Theresa, R.B. Patel. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, today I would like to end here. Okay, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
And Sierra requested to send me the list of the students who are participated in. Actually, is it possible to import the list of participants? yesterday one student sent me a list of participants, but I don't know actually. I am new to the Google Meet. Is it possible to import the list of participants from the Google Meet?
Sir, our CRs will do that.
So send me the list of participants. Okay.
भाई खत्म यार,
खत्म भाई खत्म, चलो
खत्म भाई।
सर गया भाई, सर गया। अबे दिमाग भी सर गया।
पूरे 4 बज गए भाई, पूरे 4।
क्या बोल
15
रहे
मिनट का
यार?
ब्रेक ही लोगों को नहीं दिखाई देता है भाई।